Welcome to the Part 2 interview with Leilani on the Pillars and Strategies Network. The full broadcast video version is available on our Rumble channel because YouTube is censoring content. Please take a moment to like, share, subscribe to help us reach more people. Follow us on Twitter, Rumble, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud, and watch Kingdom TV at pillarsandstrategies.net.
And we need to all come together, and we will, everybody will come together, help each other in our neighborhoods, because we're going to have to rebuild with a lot of what we don't have right now, because it is not for our greater good.
Yeah.
These little food forests, doing our community gardens, and little things like that, and just touching base with our neighbors. James and I, my ex-husband and I, was chatting the other day about how different it is in this country versus South Africa. For me, just growing up, you could just go visit anybody anytime. You didn't have to make an appointment to go hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Neighbors would run over and say, "Hey, I need a cup of flour and a cup of sugar," or whatever, and you just give it to them. There's none of this. People will just, like, our neighbors would just walk into our house and say, "Hey, I'm come for a cup of tea."
Oh my goodness.
We don't see that here. So interesting. But also, it's to build community. And our old people, or if your neighbor had an issue, they know that they can call you at 2:00 in the morning, and then it's an emergency. We don't depend on 911 to help with minor things. And unfortunately, that's also one of our systems that has been totally abused.
Yeah.
Because people use our EMS as a taxi ride, some of them, that have a means. And then obviously there are those that genuinely need it. And then there are those that use it as a form of manipulation, because they think they're going to be seen quicker in the ER if they come via ambulance, which is not the case. Just little things. So it's a re-education of everyone globally, and especially those folks that manipulate a system. They're the ones that are going to have to really come together. And again, we're going to have to support each other, because I firmly believe if we took care of one another in our communities, we won't have crime. We won't have people that need anything. We have so many billionaires, and I'm like, wait, we have billionaires, so many of you. Why do we have hungry children? Why do we have veterans living under bridges? Why are there people suffering? And that was one of the issues that I had in the ER one night. I had a lady that had severe burns, and she didn't have anywhere to go. And I didn't want to just discharge her to nowhere. She's like, "Oh, I'm just going to go sleep in the parking lot at Walmart." And I'm like, no, I'm just worried about that. And this is how a lot of people that I've worked with in the medical field have come up against me. That was one instance where they yelled and screamed at me and said, "No, she needs to leave." And I was concerned for her wellness, and again, there's some of us that are just natural healers that are here to help. And God really did guide me a lot, and I am protected. And, there was a gentleman, one of them that I was worked with, that was really, his heart wasn't in being in the ER, because of how he treated my patients. I had a gentleman with a hypertensive emergency one night that a CT tech did not take care of optimally, brought him back to the room. And nicotine is a medication to treat hypertension when somebody has the potential to have a stroke. Okay. So that's how we lower the blood pressure. And he was really having a difficult time. But he took him off to CT, took him off of his medications, brought him into the room, threw him in there, and I just happened to notice out of my peripheral vision. So I went in and I had a difficult time, but I got him stable again. And the same gentleman on another incident, an elderly lady, if my memory serves me correct, she was like 89 years old with a humerus fracture, and he pushed the stretcher in and she hurt herself and cried out, and he been condescending to her. And I was thinking to myself, and I asked God, I prayed to God. I talk to him all the time. Yes. Because when I would get into these situations, I'm like, God, what am I doing wrong? Why am I always getting into trouble? I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to stand up for my patient. Why am I always getting this opposition? And it's because there are light workers like myself. There's many of us And our light and our persistence to do the right thing irritates the darkness in those that are not there for the greatest good of all people. They are there for a paycheck, and that's their primary thing. And they are the ones that can be manipulated by leadership in these places and do what they do. But anyway, this gentleman that was so hateful to people in their time of need ended up killing himself in a car accident. And this was after I had been written up for insubordination, and I'm not a team player. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I can't get up with ancillary staff. Meanwhile, these are the same people that came up against me. And all I can say is, in my awakening and putting all these pieces together, that's another confirmation to me that I am protected, and that people that try to interfere with my path, bad things happen, and I don't wish it upon them.
Yeah.
I know that God protects me. That particular man had no business being in the ER. So when he was taken out of the picture, everybody was like boo-hooing and crying. And I'm like, what's going on here? He wasn't that great. He treated all my patients poorly. So I didn't think he was an asset at all, actually. And I know it sounds harsh, but God takes care of the ones of us that are chosen to be here to help all of humanity. And I'm sure he protects you all just as much. You'll notice when you take time, I believe when we pray, we are asking God for answers. And when we take the time to meditate and be quiet, that's our time to converse with God. And that's when he gives us answers and guidance in our spirit.
Yeah.
We call it, we say how to quiet your spirit. Yeah, because a lot of times there's so much going in and out of our spirits. And when we learn how to quiet that before God, then he's able to speak back and talk. And then we're able to hear what he's saying back to us in that full conversation, face to face with him.
Yes. I think since I was born 2.5 months premature in South Africa in a little town called Uitenhage. I weighed 2 pounds and 1 ounce, and I really should have survived. And once I've now put all the puzzle pieces together, I've realized, and I don't mind if you share this, I've realized that I was targeted by this government and these nefarious beings because of what my purpose is on this earth.
YouTube has censored this content. You can watch the full part to interview with Leilani on Rumble. Find out what YouTube didn't want you to hear. The Rumble video link is provided in the description section of this video. Please like, share, subscribe to help us reach more people. Follow us on Twitter, Rumble, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and watch Kingdom TV at pillarsandstrategies.net.